Hello students, I am Krishna Kanjani from LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Welcome to the online lecture series on kinematics and theory of machine. In today's session, we will learn about gear train. In our previous session, we have learned what is gear train and various types of gear train. So we will continue with that session and we will learn about the remaining two types of gear train. So let's start with the types of gear train. There are mainly four types of gear trains: simple gear train, compound gear train, reverted gear train and epicyclic gear train. From these four, we have learned about simple gear train and compound gear train in our previous session. Okay, so let's start with the third type of gear train, that is reverted gear train. Now, when the axis of first gear and the last gear are coaxial, then it is known as a reverted gear train. Okay, we can simply consider this assembly over here. So when we are mounting two gears on one shaft, then it is known as a compound gear. Okay, now this assembly of compound gear, in this assembly, if we are connecting it in such a way that the first gear and the last gear both are coaxial, then this type of assembly is known as a reverted gear train. Okay, now how it will be useful? So when we want to develop a certain type of arrangement in which the speed of gear 1 and speed of gear 4 both should be different. Okay, so when we want to achieve speed reduction or speed increment on a same axis of shaft, so in that case we will use reverted type of gear train. Let's consider this diagram. Then over here, gear 1 and gear 2, they are directly attached. So this assembly is known as a simple gear train. Now gear 2 and gear 3 both are mounted on a common shaft. So that's why they are termed as a compound gear, and this gear 3 and gear 4, they are also forming a simple gear train. So this will help us to achieve speed reduction on a same axis. Okay, let's refer this diagram. Then over here, let's consider that this one is your driver gear and this yellow is your driven gear. Then you can refer that the speed of driver gear is slow while the speed of driven gear is large. Okay, and they both are mounted on a same line of axis. Okay, over here they both are coaxial, but the shaft of gear 1 and gear 4 both are different. Okay, so in this way we can achieve speed increment or speed decrement on a same line of axis. They are mainly used in automotive transmission systems, lathe machines, in industrial speed reducers, or we can refer this example in a clock. Okay, so as we are aware that in a clock, your minute hand and hour hand both are moving in the same direction. They both are moving in a clockwise direction, but the speed of minute hand and hour hand is different. Okay, so that can be achieved with the help of this arrangement. Similarly, in automobiles, okay, in a gearbox, we can obtain different speed on a same line of axis. That will be also obtained with the help of this type of assembly. So let's identify that how we can obtain speed ratio of reverted gear train. Now, as the diagram shows us that it is a simple type of compound gear, because as we are aware that in a simple compound gear assembly, if we sketch the simple compound gear, then in that case your gear number 4 will be mounted in this direction rather than on that direction. Okay, so if we consider that gear number 1 over here, gear 2 over here, gear 3 in this position and gear 4 is mounted on right side of gear 3, then this is a simple compound gear assembly, and we have simple relation for compound gear train that the ratio of speed of first driver to the speed of driven shaft is equal to product of number of teeth on driven upon number of teeth on driver. So over here we can say that N1 by N4 is equal to T2 into T4 divided by T1 into T3. Now second fundamental regarding reverted gear train is, if you refer that okay, let's consider the radius of gear 1 and gear 2. If we consider R1 and R2, that is radius of gear 1 and gear 2, and similarly the radius of gear 3 is R3 and radius of gear 4 is R4. Then over here we can simply identify that the center distance between two shafts will remain always constant. So over here we can say that R1 plus R2 is equal to R3 plus R4. Okay, and this fundamental is achieved because over here your gear number 2 and 3 are mounted on a same line of centers, and similarly gear 1 and gear 4 are mounted on a same line of centers. Okay, so we can simply write down that R1 plus R2 is equal to R3 plus R4. The radius, or we can say the diameter, is always proportional to the number of teeth. So similarly we can say that T1 plus T2 is equal to T3 plus T4. So this is about the third type of gear train, that is reverted gear train. Now let's learn the fourth and the last type of gear train, that is epicyclic gear train. Now first of all we have to learn about the word epicyclic. Now this epicyclic means when a body or a circle is rotating on another circle or another body, then these type of curves obtained by revolving or rotating one body on another circular body is known as a epicyclic. Okay, so let's refer one diagram regarding epicyclic gear train. So over here in this assembly you can observe that gear A and gear B. Okay, a simple gear train, if they are connected with this arm C, then this assembly is known as a simple gear train. Okay, so now if we will fix this arm over here, then we can say that when we will rotate gear A, it will also rotate gear B in opposite direction. But now in this assembly, if we are not fixing this arm C, okay, let the arm C will move in any direction, then over there we can achieve that with respect to this gear A, your gear B will be moving in its periphery. Okay, so over here you can consider that with respect to this gear A, your gear B is moving on circumference of gear A. Okay, so this type of assembly is known as a epicyclic gear train. Okay, so we can simply define that the gear trains arranged in such a manner that one or more than their members, over here we can observe that gear B as well as arm C, okay, over here both are moving, or we can say both are rotating around gear A. Okay, so they are moved upon or around the another member, then this type of assembly is known as a epicyclic gear train. Okay, now this arrangement can be also used in such a way that type of arrangement, over here your center gear is fixed and all other gear which are on a periphery of the center gear, these gears are rotating. So this type of arrangement is known as a sun and planet gear. Okay, so why we are using this type of assembly? So epicyclic gear trains are useful for obtaining high velocity ratios. Okay, over here you can refer that the speed of gear 1 compared to that gear 2 is rotating with very high speed. Okay, so this type of arrangement will help us to achieve high velocity ratios. Let's derive speed ratio of epicyclic gear train. Okay, now the epicyclic gear train is obtained by combination of simple and compound gear train. As we have learned previously that if we will fix this arm C, then with respect to this arm C, your gear A and gear B both are working as a simple gear train. But if we are not fixing this arm and if we will fix this gear A or gear B, then we can achieve different type of epicyclic gear trains. Okay, so over here we have two methods to obtain velocity ratio in epicyclic gear train. We will learn the first one, that is tabular method. Okay, so it is a simple method in which we have to draw one table which is containing mainly two columns, that is condition of motion, and second one, that is revolution, or we can say RPM of each element. Okay, so in this arrangement if we consider that gear A is your first element, arm C your second, and gear B is your third. So over here we have three elements. Let's consider condition number 1. Arm is fixed and gear A is rotating with +1 revolution. Okay, so a simple arrangement where you are giving rotation to gear A and that will give you rotation to your gear B. One more condition in this numerical is, in this chapter we will always consider the anti-clockwise rotation as a plus rotation, because we have simple understanding that if we consider anti-clockwise with a plus symbol, then in that case your clockwise rotation will be considered as a negative symbol. We can consider any of these as a positive and negative, but for simplicity and in most of the reference books they are using anti-clockwise as a +1, so that's why we will follow with the same procedure. So over here let's consider RPM of all other components. So first component, that is your arm C. Now this arm is fixed. Okay, so your RPM of arm will be 0. Now gear A is rotating with +1 revolution. Okay, so +1 revolution is considered for gear A. Now with respect to gear A, your gear B is following a simple gear train. So we have a simple relation that N1 by N2 is equal to T2 by T1. Now similarly, if you want to achieve the RPM of gear B, so we can write down this equation that NB by NA is equal to TA by TB. If you want to achieve the RPM of gear B, so over here NB is equal to, we can say, TA upon TB into your RPM of gear A, that is NA. But in this condition we have considered RPM of gear 1 as +1, so we can simply put NA is equal to +1, so your equation will be TA upon TB. Now another fundamental, we have assumed that your gear A is rotating in anti-clockwise direction, so your gear B will be rotating in clockwise direction. So for clockwise direction you have to mention symbol as minus over here, so that's why we have to put minus TA upon TB, that is your final equation of speed of gear B. Now let's consider second condition for this numerical. So over here if we consider that the RPM of gear A is +x rather than +1, so over here we have to simply change the value with x only. So in this condition your arm will be fixed, so is equal to 0, gear A will be rotating with +x and gear B will be rotating with -x into TA by TB. Okay, let's consider third condition, that if we will add +1 revolution to each component, a simple mathematics, that if we are increasing speed of each component, we are rotating gear A, arm B, arm C and gear B, all these components with +y addition. Okay, so in that condition we have to add +y rotation in each component. So we have final equation, that is total motion of these all components will be +y, 0 + y, that will give us +y. Similarly x rotation plus y rotation, so x plus y, that is the combination of these two terms, and over here combination of these two terms will give us the equation y minus x TA upon TB. Okay, so in this way, by using this final row of this table, we can evaluate values of speed for gear A, gear B as well as for arm C. Okay, so this is the basic method that will be helpful for us to achieve velocity ratio in epicyclic gear train. So this is all about various types of gear train. Thank you.